It is the 1st of March 2015. It's 128 days to San Diego Comic-Con, 18 weeks to go. I have no idea how your savings account's going at the moment, but mine is way behind, I tell you. This is A Cup of Tea with an Englishman in San Diego. My name's Leonard Sultana. Thank you very much indeed for joining us this Sunday. I have my cup of tea this week. I didn't have my cup of tea last week. I felt so lost. It was untrue. I just really need this because it's turning into the weekends are just really starting to mess with my head, especially as we get when I think it's going to be a nice quiet week where we're just going to just nicely do the 7 days. Next thing you know, we get some more Comic-Con news and everything just gets back up in the air again. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. If you're watching on Google+, as always, the Q&A is well and truly open. Do jump in. Let us know where you're watching from, because it is Comic-Con International after all. We've already got one or two people jumping in. Janine is tuning in from Southern California. Karma Savage is joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. And Ian O'Hara is joining us as well. He hasn't said where he's from. You know what? I'm not too sure where Ian's from. So, yeah, jump in and let us know. And, of course, we are going to be talking hotels because we had the early bird hotel sale open this week. So do jump in with your recommendations and where you've stayed, your stories of hotels in San Diego for Comic-Con. We have ourselves a couple of guests. I'd like to make a couple of quick apologies. I did hype last week that we were going to have a very special guest. That was going to be Kelly Sue DeConnick. Unfortunately, however, she's had a bit of conflict with her timetable and she's unable to join us. However, she has said that she would be willing to join us on a later Hangout. Fingers crossed, so do keep your eyes open on that one. Likewise as well with Megan Gotch, who agreed to join us kind of last minute, but she's got a little bit of a frog in her throat, a bit of a croaky voice at the moment, and it's her birthday tomorrow. So she's wanting to be nicely in full form for her birthday celebrations. And I'm certain all of us would like to wish Megan, happy birthday tomorrow. Have a great day. Okay? So, our guests today, we have ourselves my regular partner in crime, Alyssa, from the Friends of CCI.com forum. Hello, Alyssa. How are you?
I am well. Oh, my, what a week. What a week. Bad sale. Fallout has been an issue, has been talked about. The rehashing a classic on-site registration, random pick versus first come, first serve, of course, is resurfaced. But be that as it may, there doesn't seem like there was that many problems with badge sale. So, but the people that have come up with issues have been emailing CCI, and it seems like they're working it through. The pro-reg people were regged this week. So they seem to be happy by and large, and from what I heard, there was still paid badges available a couple of days ago at the end of the sale. So, who knows? Take that with a grain of salt. The other thing that we are just getting together is hotels. Lots of work behind the scene for hotels. We are going to be doing a spreadsheet again. We're going to be opening up an area to do a hotel swap. And I'm also, one other thing I'm introducing on the forum this week is for all of the existing group for badge sales, I'm opening up an area specifically for those groups so they can maintain a friendship and communication throughout the hotel sale, throughout the exclusives, maybe go to New York Comic-Con, try and get them to the other cons to maintain that friendship.
I think it is all about communication at the end of the day, and I know that the forum is it always works to open up those lines of communication. So.
Yeah, but hotel sales, we're full into it.
Well, I mean, we're a couple of weeks away if we're going to follow the the tip from our friends at the unofficial Comic-Con blog. They've been hearing that it's going to be on the 24th. That's on the same day that the early bird hotel sale actually ends. So we'll be covering that in a second. We also have ourselves 2 new people who have not joined us on the Hangout before, so this is going to be exciting. And they're kind of going to double team us as well because they have their own Hangout. So we've got 2 people from the same Hangout. I am a massive fan of this Hangout as well, of this podcast. It's the All Geek to Me podcast. I would follow them on Twitter as well because they always tweet out some really good stuff as well. We have ourselves Eileen.
Hi guys.
I'm gonna click on the right face so at least then people can see the right face and the right name. So yes, this is Eileen. Hello, Eileen.
Hello.
And we have ourselves Kate. Hello, Kate.
Hi.
I suppose we'd best start with just introducing yourself. Who's going to be the spokesperson for All Geek to Me? Who's going to be?
That's a very good question.
That is a great question. I guess I could do that.
Go for it.
So we are based on the East Coast. Em's based near New York, and I'm based near Philadelphia. And we've been doing our podcast for about 1.5 years, and we talk all things geek. So TV, film, comics, sometimes music, sometimes Broadway. Depends on what we're in the mood to talk about. And we frequent New York Comic Con. This year will be our 5th year at New York Comic Con, and then this will be the 3rd year that we'll be at Philadelphia Comic Con.
Wow. Is that where you met? Is that where you've kind of like you teamed up?
We actually met.
No, we
were mutual friends.
Theater. Yeah, and going to we met at a concert the first time, and then the second time we were going to see a Broadway show together, and yeah, so it was really theater that brought us together.
Yeah, and then we just became giant dorks together.
Yeah. Well, you called my inner elf sassy and bitter, and then we were best friends.
Fantastic. I mean, like I say, I have followed the podcast, and I do know that you're really big into your television stuff. Is there anything that you do feel that between the pair of you do kind of concentrate on separately, or what kind of things attract you when it comes to your geek interests?
I do a lot of comics. Every Wednesday I'm at the comic book shop picking up my comics. I'm also big into we're both big into the TV. It's mostly a TV comics type thing, but you know, the Marvel films, I'm there midnight every Thursday for the showing. Much to the annoyance of the people who have to go with me.
Yeah. Yeah, we're kind of that's why we decided to do the podcast, is because we're kind of the same where our geek lies. So
right, but
we're both really into comics. We're both really into the comic book TV and the MCU. So
I'm really curious as to what you do, Kate, because I'm looking at behind you and I'm seeing lots of dummy heads behind you, and it is looking.
The heads behind me, yeah.
It is looking slightly serial killer. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hannibal is one of my favorite TV shows. No, I do wigs and wardrobe at a theater company in Philadelphia.
Excellent.
So it's 1:10 now our time, and at 1:30 we have our half-hour call, and then at 2 o'clock we're going to have our final show of the show that we're putting up right now. We're closing it today.
Yes, I have been warned that you may be disappearing at some point, so
I may disappear. Yeah, I apologize in advance.
And what do you do, Eileen?
I work for a talent agency in New York. I do their on-talent casting. So basically, if there's an audition happening out in LA, but our clients are in New York, they come into me. I read with them, put them on tape, edit it, package it, and send it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is all very creative. I know I'm a DJ. I press play for a living. It's not the same thing. That's
still cool.
Yeah.
Well, if you ask any of my audience, I think they disagree with you. But hey, we go with that.
Leonard, you're what we call talent. My background is theatrical lighting, so you're surrounded by backstage people, Leonard.
Oh,
you are.
I'm just.
We're gonna draw you into the cults.
I am just a jumped up iPod when it comes to this particular hangout. This is just not fair. Okay, well, we will obviously we'll be talking some of the big television news that happened this week as well. But what we are going to be looking forward for from our audience, if you're watching live, and we've got a fair number of viewers. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Is all about hotels. When it comes to the early bird sale that opened this week, it opened up on Wednesday, on the 24th of February. These were 10 hotels that are situated in Mission Valley, and it's Mission Valley and the other area.
Yeah, Farley.
That's it. Yes. These are hotels that are open for bookings from the Friday before Comic-Con all the way through to, I think, the Wednesday or Thursday, the week after Comic-Con. So it's a nicely discounted hotel rate. At the moment, I have done a little bit of checking on availability, and as far as I can tell, if you are wanting to go into San Diego for the 4th of July celebrations, and you're thinking of booking any of these 10, there's only 2 of them that are actually available, which is the Crown Plaza and the Sheraton Hotel Marina, which is either down to the hotels themselves keeping those hotels to one side for the 4th of July, or people who have booked in nice and early because they want to enjoy 4th of July in San Diego, which is one hell of a party, whether it goes right or whether it goes wrong. I wish I was in San Diego for when they had that calamitous fireworks display, when they had the entire fireworks go up in one go. Even if that happened, I would be happy, because that looked like one hell of a thing to happen. Do jump in on the Q&As. Let us know where you've stayed in San Diego if you've been to Comic-Con before, and let's see if we can get some recommendations. Alyssa, obviously you've been to Comic-Con a number of times. Do you go in for the hotels, or I mean, are you a condo sharer? What do you do?
I have never. I stayed in Mission Valley my first year. I had a car because I'm of that age that really wants to have a car to go places, and I was there for the entire week. So I took the trolley in, and I was in a non-con hotel. That was okay. The trolley, I parked in the big stadium that's going to be taken up by the new kids on the. Excuse me, by One Direction. New kids.
the new kids on the Direction. Yes. Yeah. That's what we're christening them now.
The new kids on the block.
Exactly. So I have stayed out there, and it's a nice area, and it certainly is great if you're, that's the vibe you want. I personally am staying in Chula Vista. I've got a condo that I booked. Apparently, my condo has a koi pond and an emu.
An emu?
Pen. Emu pen.
That's amazing.
Yes, and it's in a koi. I know. I don't know how I lucked into this, but it's under $1,000 for 8 days, and for me and my son, it's a 1-bedroom apartment with a washing machine. So I heartily recommend, as you guys were saying earlier about New York Con, going for the apartments. Yeah. That said, there are a lot of people who are really keen into the hotel sale on the 24th and trying to stay downtown. I've got one person, a fabulous technical person on the forum named Joe Pare, who is hands down getting us prepared for the quick fill out of that hotel form.
I've stayed downtown once. I stayed at the Hilton Gas Lamp, and I just found, I mean, it was expensive for me, I felt, but I just felt that for the length of time that I was actually staying inside the hotel, considering that you're spending most of your time at the con, and I was also doing the whole H thing. So one of the nights I was camping out. So we actually, it's a bit it's difficult to kind of weigh the pros and cons of staying at a downtown hotel. I mean, for example, we've got Janine Lecaro, who's a regular viewer. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. This year I'll be trying for the Hard Rock. I want to see if it's true that you can run into celebs at the elevator and hallways. Which is tempting.
The joy of staying downtown is that you can drop your bags off. Say you bought a bunch of trade paperback books or a bunch of books or products, you can drop them off in the middle part of the day and still go back. Go have a nap and go back to the con. If you're 10 miles out, that's hard.
That's a lot of the reason why we started doing the apartment thing. The apartment that we got this past year was like 7 blocks from the convention center because we not only were we going to be shopping, but we were cosplaying. So we were not taking the chance that we do. We were not taking the chance that it like this year we did the women. We did the Women of Firefly. And then we did
Marvel.
Sharon Carter, Peggy Carter, and Lady Sif, a friend of ours.
Just joined us.
And then you did Wonder Woman, and I did Hannibal.
You've got to
and I did Hannibal Lecter from NBC's Hannibal.
You've got to tweet those pictures out now. So we can see them.
We can do that.
Yeah, we will. Don't worry.
Because,
we will, but we really decided that we decided that if we were cosplaying, if we hit like 2 o'clock in the afternoon and we were done, like we had to get a wig off. We're close enough to our apartment that we could go and change and come back to the con. So it's so worth it to do that.
To have someplace local.
It makes sense. We've got Michael Leventhal who's turning around saying he's wanting any downtown hotel but would prefer the Omni. I mean, I do keep hearing reviews of San Diego hotels. The Hard Rock, I've been told, is really good if you are under the age of 25 and can deal with late nights and nightclubs.
Which none of us are.
Yeah. And nightclubs on 4 floors with sound bleeding through the walls. But if you're a night owl, then I'm sorry, I like my sleep. So I don't know.
Me too.
Yeah, I've heard good things about the Omni, but
especially at Comic-Con.
Absolutely. We've got ourselves Gary Quigley, who's watching. 2 years ago, I stayed at the Courtyard Marriott in downtown. It was a fantastic hotel and would recommend it. Last year, I stayed at the World Mark near Balboa Park. Never even heard of this one. It's about 20 minutes walk from the convention, but despite this, it was cheap and did the job. And I think that's what people are trying to do, that balance between spending money at the con against actually the hotel. I mean, when is it just yourselves that share the apartment for New York?
We have a friend who joins
us and one other. Yeah.
So it was 3 of us.
It was supposed to be 4, and then it wound up just being 3 of us, which was fine. And the apartment was built as a studio, but it was basically a 1-bedroom, and it had 2 queen beds in it and a bathroom. We didn't have a washer and dryer, but we had a full kitchenette if we wanted to use it, and a fridge. And we pretty much exploded all over the place because 9 costumes between 3 girls,
as well as
plus
just
all
regular
of
stuff and everything we bought.
Oh my lord!
Yeah,
I can only.
The night
play room looks like, but 9 costumes. I can imagine.
You have no idea. I had to take 3 wigs with me, and they were all on heads. And then I had 9 costumes, and I had to bring everything from Philadelphia up to New York. Thankfully, the friend that stayed with us drove.
So we had a
car they were everywhere. The wigs were on top of the refrigerator, and there was stuff everywhere.
I've just to go through my kind of history with staying in hotels at cons. The first year I stayed at the Holiday Inn Express up on First, which is I believe now 4 Points by Sheraton. And it was, I think we organised it because we had some points that my wife kind of like organised to bring the price down. But then in 2011 we stayed downtown at Hilton Gaslamp. At which point, like I say, I think we just decided that it was just a little bit too expensive. And by that point as well, we'd also made some really good friends. So we did from then we've done the condo sharing thing. And like I say, the apartments sharing thing. I actually prefer it because you're then really bonding with fellow con attendees and really kind of like coming together as a group, as a collective. And we're doing it again this year. We've got ourselves the condo all sorted out. So I won't be going in for the hotel apocalypse, as it is christened. But it's something I recommend, especially if you've been going before and you've got a number of friends that you've made at con buddies at cons.
Con buddies are the best.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We've met a lot of con buddies through cosplay, actually, because they'll be cosplaying something that is part of our group, and then we just hang out for the day, going around together. It's a lot of fun.
We did a cosplay special a couple of weeks back, and it did seem that it was a very strong community when it comes to cosplayers.
Well, there's no other way to find people who like what you like than by wearing what you like and having them be like, I'm wearing that too.
Which explains why all the Doctor Who's do gather up at Sales Pavilion on a Saturday afternoon and get all the pictures taken.
Yep. There was one, I remember a couple years ago at New York Comic Con, next to the Doctor Who booth, all of a sudden, like, all these Doctor Who cosplayers were taking pictures, and just everyone who walked along in costume just started joining the group, and there was this giant photo that happened on the middle of the floor, just random.
I'm incredibly curious to see how many 11th Doctors we're going to get, considering... Okay, you're going to have to tell me this, because I've actually done a little bit of catching up, because I know that I'm way behind. How big is Doctor Who at the moment in the US?
It's pretty big.
It's pretty big.
It's still pretty big.
No, there's actually a new outcropping of people who started to watch it because of Capaldi.
That would be
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I saw an interview with him or something like that, and I went, I like that guy.
I've been trying to get her to watch it for forever, and all it took was Capaldi.
And all it took was Peter Capaldi.
Like, all right, cool. Yeah. On board. In fact, one time, because she doesn't have cable and wasn't getting it, I FaceTimed her so she could watch it live with me.
Yeah.
And I propped her up on my coffee table while I sat there and watched it.
Yeah.
And we watched
True
it together.
friendship.
That's one way to watch a television program, I suppose. On FaceTime.
Capaldi is a great actor. I saw him. I first introduced to him in Robin Hood, or not Robin Hood, the Three Musketeers, and loved him in that. And I would follow. Absolutely enjoy watching Doctor Who, despite the seeming drop in script quality this year. So he would be the reason to continue watching for me.
I just found that it's almost felt like, because watching it, I was thinking, before, Doctor Who was something that the entire family could come around and watch as a family. And the episodes that I watched, I just thought, there's no 8-year-old that's going to sit there and watch this program because they're going to be bored senseless or confused. So I just got... I was wondering how it was working in the US. Returning to the hotels... Returning to the hotels very quickly. Okay, this is... we'll run through a couple of the recommendations. Do keep coming in, bringing them in on the Q&A. This is from Tristan Stewart. I've stayed at the Weston on Broadway, not the Gaslamp. It's nice, it's a 10-minute walk, and it's a good area. So thank you very much indeed for that recommendation.
That's important.
I'm just going to say, also let us know if you've watched any, or if you've been to any hotels that you wouldn't recommend. Okay, let's see if we can also get those
are the
out
fun
of the way.
Stories.
Oh, yes. So,
the Hotel Sylvia in New York City.
So
Don't stay there.
There was this cockroach, the size of a shoe, and it was so friendly, I decided not to kick it out of the room. Yeah, that kind of story.
It became my roommate. His name was Bill.
We're going to roommate next year. No, me and the rat. No. Okay. Let's see if we've got further down. This is Ian O'Hara. I don't go in for the hotels that much, but I do try and go with the condos with my friends. It's awesome. We actually have had someone who turned around and has asked me, which sites would you recommend to find condos? This is where I'm going to have to admit that the condo was actually found by my con buddy. So I don't know where they found it. So
we
I'm gonna have to
used
admit.
Airbnb for our apartment, and we had pretty good luck. The only problem that we had was we booked it a year in advance because we made the decision
that we wanted
not last New York Comic Con, but the year before, that we were just going to do it, and we were going to do all 4 days. We were going to stay an extra day and give ourselves a night to recover, and then leave on Monday and all this. So we found it a year in advance, and about 6 months before, we got an email from them telling us that they sold the building.
Whoa.
And that they were going to give us another apartment at a 10% discount in a nicer building. And it was wonderful. So it was a really good experience. They were very good. I would look for ones where they own multiple properties, because then you know that they're in it as like a business.
Sure.
And it's not just some Joe Schmo who is renting their apartment. But on Airbnb, there are a lot of people who are like, you can rent my apartment for this. For like example, in Philadelphia, the Pope is coming into town this summer, and everyone is on Airbnb giving their apartments up, and they're going to go stay with their family in the suburbs so that they can make a little money while everyone's here to stay. Mm-hmm. So that's what a lot of people do during con season in New York anyway. Mm-hmm. They know that they can rent out their apartment.
And in San Diego.
Yeah. And just my recommendation for that is just read the reviews. Like, the reviewers are going to be honest, and they can't. I don't think the people who start the profile on Airbnb can delete the comment. So you can definitely read, genuine comments on these. There are some not so nice. Yep. So you can get a pretty good read on whether or not the person is trustworthy.
Sure.
I always use Airbnb too, but I've heard that there's a couple of other services that do an equally good job of protecting the person who's doing the renting and the renter, so that there's no problem with the money. Because that's the biggest fear, is that you pay out all this money, show up, and not have a place to stay.
I think one fear as well, especially if not this far out, certainly a little bit further, is people who, like you say, don't have a whole number of properties, but are just, say, renting out their 1 or 2 rooms. Renting out or putting out their property on Airbnb, or BRB, so I get it right, and then suddenly looking at, yes, let's book that in the calendar, not a problem at all. At which point they then look at the calendar and go, holy crap, that's San Diego Comic-Con week. Ka-ching, and next thing you know, the price goes up, and it just goes up. I have actually heard stories where the price has gone up as they've gotten closer, and they've just kind of suddenly been...
I haven't noticed... I mean, what I do is I put it in that I'm booking for San Diego Comic-Con, so they can't back out because they realize that it's San Diego Comic-Con. But I haven't noticed that when I booked apartments in New York for New York Con. It seems like there's so much else happening in New York Con. New York Comic-Con isn't really as consuming to New York as it is to San Diego.
Right. I mean, there's plenty to do in New York, so people are coming in for all sorts of reasons.
Exactly. He's better.
Kate at this point is desperately trying to cover her microphone, and it's not working at all. This is where, they're doing the calls.
They're doing their call.
They're doing the calls on stage, and which is why Kate is also intent at listening to what's going on.
I'm sorry. They were just calling half hour. I've got about 5-10 more minutes, and then I've got to run.
That's fine. This is Ian O'Hara again. A hotel that I've been to that I will never attend was in New York and was called the Park Savoy.
God.
I'd gotten a rash.
That's an awful hotel.
Oh dear. Okay. I'd gotten a rash on my neck. My friend had gotten money stolen out of her luggage, and the soap dish fell on my foot from loose nails sticking out. It sucked.
Oh, I have heard such awful things about that place.
I have to admit,
man, no. Go a little further uptown.
I am absolutely terrified of hotels in New York. which is why I'm afraid of little crawly things that I'm going to take home with me.
They can be in people's apartments too, though.
Yeah.
I understand. But it completely freaks me out, which is why, and I know that the little bugs happen in the big nice hotels too, but that's why I book an apartment on the other side of the river. It just, well, it's right across the the tunnel. So
Right.
it's like a 10-minute bus ride into Times Square and a 10-minute walk.
Yeah.
So, not good for.
Yeah, there are some really nice hotels though that I mean, when I stay in a hotel in New York, it's generally for some big special occasion because I grew up right outside of Manhattan, so it's not really a need for me to hotel most of the time. But there are some nice ones, but there are also some really sketchy, scary ones, and you have to definitely like read the reviews and see what's happening before you decide to book one.
Yeah. So can we? We'll wrap up this so we can cover a little bit of television before Kate has to disappear. Any tips then for hotels generally? I think for myself, I would say don't be too hung up over the downtown and further afield hotels. They have confirmed that they are going to be doing the 24-hour free shuttle service in San Diego for Comic-Con this year. I think it is the single most useful thing that Comic-Con put on for San Diego Comic-Con. It keeps you in with the action, it's free of charge, it's right outside your hotels, and I do think it takes away some of that edge of having to stay downtown, although I do appreciate people needing, especially if they're cosplaying, if they're doing collectibles, to stay in a hotel downtown a little bit closer. Alyssa, any tips that you can throw out?
The only thing that I would add is with regards to collectibles, you may want to buddy up if you have a faraway hotel like in New York or out in Mission Valley. You may want to buddy up with somebody who has a car close by, or in New York who has a VIP pass and can store your collectibles for you if you're nice enough. I'm open to brides, in other words. That's all.
Okay.
Well, in regard to the collectible thing for New York Comic Con, if you've never been to New York Comic Con, they do have a coat check or a bag check right at the front doors. So if you, we've done it where we've had to check out of wherever we are on Sunday and then gone to con and put our bags in the bag check. It's very safe. It's guarded by about 5 people, and there's a roped off section so no one randomly can get to your bag. If you buy a big collectible and you don't want to leave con, you can absolutely leave it there. It's like $3 for the day. So
And
there's that at New York Comic Con.
You never run out of space in that coat check? Because that's always been my problem.
They move, yeah, they've got like 5 different places where they move stuff occasionally. So I've never had the problem where they've run out of it, because when we buy stuff, we buy everything on Thursday, and then the rest of the weekend we're not shopping. So we've never had to worry about them running out of space, but maybe they do.
Okay. Excellent. Anything from Eileen? Any comments?
I mean, I think you just have to do what's going to be most comfortable for you. If you know you're going to need to drop stuff off, maybe staying closer is better, but don't think that you have to stay close to the convention center in order to have a good time.
Correct. And not only that, but when you do have downtown hotels, don't forget that that train service servicing coming through San Diego is 24 hours, and you do get trains waking you up at some god-awful hours, and it doesn't matter where you are, you will know it's there. I think we can wrap it up with this comment from Gary. There's something about stressing about getting a hotel, paying crazy money for it, and then when you secure the hotel, you end up spending most of your time sleeping outside anyway. Only at Comic-Con, right? He's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Okay, before we do lose Kate, then let's cover television very quickly. I know Alyssa had something that she wanted to talk about. Go for it.
Well, just briefly, I had noted that tonight is the premiere of Last Man on Earth and Battle Creek, which I've heard great reviews on. Yes, it is a cop show, but apparently they released all 13 episodes to the critics beforehand, so the critics got to see all 13 episodes and review all of the whole season, first half of the season, and loved it. At least that was what I heard on NPR. The following returns, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You're welcome.
The following is tomorrow night. Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the next night. BBC has got Broadchurch and The Suits is the following night, and then The Dig wraps it up on Friday on the 5th. So take your pick. Which one do you want to talk about?
I have to say, The Dig, their marketing campaign is brilliant. Because I spend my weekends watching Law & Order reruns. I know. Because it's something I can put on in the background and not pay a lot of attention to. But what The Dig has been doing is, even, like, aside from putting up the little, like, thing in the corner of the TV being, like, The Dig premiering, they've been flashing the symbol in the middle of the scenes of Law & Order. Like, it'll be a Law & Order scene, everything's going good, all of a sudden the screen goes black, the symbol flashes up, and then it just goes back to the scene. Like, nothing happened. I had no intention of watching the show, but after that I'm like, well, now I have to. That's brilliant.
Any show that will actually hijack another program.
Right? Well,
Wow.
it's Law & Order. Who hasn't seen them 50 times already? You're not really losing anything. It's great.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
do
I'm
that.
intrigued.
I do this with CIS, and just have it on in the background. What I love about The Dig is it's archaeological based, and that's brilliant. I love a little bit of science, a little bit of humanities kind of mixed in with your mystery. So I totally get it.
The one show that I'm interested in that little list is Last Man on Earth, considering that I had never heard of this thing until this week.
Really?
In the UK, we've not heard of this thing, but just from hearing what the premise is all about, I'm really curious as to what they're going to do with it. If you're watching this from outside of North America, this is a show that is basically set not so much like a Twilight Zone kind of setup, but very much like, say, 28 Days Later. The Earth is in an apocalyptic kind of wasteland. There's one guy, he's on his own, and will be for the remainder of the show. Apparently he sees or hallucinates his wife in some scenes later on, but it is all hinged around, is it Will Forte?
Yes.
Yeah. I think any show where you say, hey, listen, how about we just do a kind of like apocalyptic thing, and it's just one bloke. Nobody else, it's just you. I mean, that's the kind of thing where someone will then turn around the meeting and go, yeah, well, we can't really do that. And they've gone ahead and done it. I'm really curious to see how that show is going to pan out. And yes, of course, Agent Carter wraps up this week. Is it this week or was that
last week?
Last week. Oh, that finale broke my heart.
Kate's already crying.
I am.
You mentioned Agent Carter and tears.
Yes, I love S.H.I.E.L.D., but so it's a double-edged sword for me that we have to say goodbye to Peggy Carter, and now we're getting S.H.I.E.L.D. back. It's great, but 8 episodes was not enough. I loved it. I thought it was so great, and the finale, the way they tie a lot of stuff in the finale.
Don't say a word.
I'm not saying anything. No spoilers, I promise. But I will tell you that it broke my heart about 3 times.
Well, here, like I say, we were discussing this before we came on air. In the UK, and anyone who's watching this in the US may want to look at their screen in complete shock at this point. We haven't even got a date confirmed for this thing yet. In the UK, we have not seen a single episode. Well, unless, of course, that you've sourced it from some nefarious means.
And we talked about this on our podcast a couple times in the last 8 weeks, is that you guys can't even watch it off of the ABC.com. You can't watch it internationally off ABC.com, and there's a bunch of people who would love to, and that would bump up their ratings, and they could see that they have this international contingent who want to watch it, and you can't.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. You can't even get it off of iTunes or anything. It's ridiculous.
I just shake my head. I just don't understand what they're doing. Especially if what I suspect they're going to be doing is they usually run Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. about 5-6 weeks after they air it in the US.
Mm-hmm.
At which point, it's the thing about Agent Carter is it's almost like an 8-week flashback, which then dovetails into Agents of Shield. So we're just going to be completely lost.
Yeah.
A couple of comments coming
I
in.
don't know if it's going to tie in. But...
No, go on.
I did.
I got distracted.
What was that, Kate?
I said I don't know if Agent Carter is actually going to tie into S.H.I.E.L.D. specifically. Like, they kind of tied it in at the beginning of the season this year. But I don't know if it's going to tie into the Inhuman thing that's going to be going on with the rest of the season. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to say goodbye to you guys because I got to go run and wig some actors. But thank you so much for having me. And
Kate, it's
have
been
a great
pleasure.
rest
Thank you
of your
very much
podcast.
indeed. Okay.
Have
Take
a good
care.
day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I was going to eject her, but no, she's gone already. Okay.
She left you.
That was like a... Wow, she was like a bullet. Okay. Let's go very quickly through a couple of the Q&A comments.
I did have a question for Ellen. Or Eileen.
It's all good.
Okay. Well, I saw the E there, and it messes me up. I'm sorry. So, Last Man on Earth.
Yes.
Is that based on the comic?
I honestly don't know.
No.
All right.
Sorry, I'm going to jump in on that.
Go for it.
No. Last Man on Earth is, it shares a title.
Yes, there is a comic.
There is a comic called Y, Last Man on Earth, which is slightly different because that's got very much more of a feminist message, and it's a little bit more to it because the idea of Y, the Last Man on Earth, everyone with a Y, everyone with a Y chromosome, has died.
Yes.
Leaving one guy left on the planet.
I picked it up years ago, and I haven't looked at it since. For some reason, it just didn't catch my interest, and I completely forgot what the comic was about. So there you go.
Yes.
Thank you for clearing that one up.
Yes, that's fine. Very quickly on the Q&As then, we've got Gary Quigley. Don't forget about House of Cards, which only got put on Netflix on Friday. That's how I've spent most of my weekend.
I'm not caught up. I know it's bad, but... It's
a show, and I struggle because I remember the original House of Cards, and I'm still kind of a big fan of the original. So, no, it's something you'll go catch up on. Considering everyone's just been going nuts about it.
I have not watched it. My 15-year-old son has been watching it, and I'm a little scared to watch it because of what he's seen. Now, what everybody says about it. Bad parent that I am. However, it's something that I've got to watch. It sounds like it's a fabulous show.
It is.
We've got a comment from Betsy Woodin. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Betsy, our regular winner of our competitions whenever we run them. I've got dig buttons from Comic-Con last summer, and it said it was coming out this fall, which was 2014. Assuming there was some sort of delay. Yeah, I think that's safe to say. We've got Angela Copley. I've got my DVR set for The Last Man on Earth. I'm interested in checking it out. I wish it wasn't up against it's up against The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Whoa.
That's them trying really hard to get something up against The Walking Dead, because even the award shows this year have been failing in ratings because it's up against like The Walking Dead and Shameless on HBO. Showtime is Shameless.
It's out in Abbey for that crowd too. So huge competition Sunday night.
That interests me because when we first talked about Shameless last year, the year before, people were saying that wasn't really going to... Is that really taken off to the point where it's hurting ratings of people?
They've got a pretty good following. Enough so that the award shows aren't pulling in compared to what's going on cable. Like, I remember the night of, I think it was the Grammys, my entire feed was Walking Dead and Shameless. And then, like, every so often someone would be like, oh, look who won. And I was like, okay.
And the rest of the feed is, we don't care. Moving on.
Everyone else is just like, did you see what happened with the zombies? Yes, I did.
Yes, but enough about the Grammys. But you set it up. I knock it out the park. That's the way it works.
I love it.
Thank you. Brilliant. Yeah, it's something I'm very interested to see on that particular show. I mean, we've got Craig Linders who's saying, I love the original House of Cards. Seen it 3 times. Started the US version. Could not quite get into it. We'll try again at a later date. Craig, I think I'm right there with you on that one. So I mean, it's available on Netflix, and that's the great thing about video on demand. You can just dive in at this point. Let's see what else we've got here. Yeah, we've got Ian O'Hara asking, wondering what the probability of Star Wars being at Comic-Con. The reason why I'm bringing this the question up is because it does say Doctor Who rules. And we have had 1 or 2 people asking the odds on Doctor Who showing up at Comic-Con this year. I know that it got mentioned on a couple of other blogs. I know it got, I think Alyssa mentioned it last week. At the end of the day, the reason why Comic-Con didn't have Doctor Who last year is because 2 years ago they showed some of the 50th anniversary footage at the Hall H panel. We had Stephen Moffat turn around to the entire audience and saying, don't share this online, everybody, it's just for you. At which point, something like 20 minutes later, it ended up on YouTube, and Stephen Moffat threw his dummy out, basically. He's a Scot, and he's original. And I can imagine he will keep a bit of a grudge.
Nothing like generalizing, is there?
Not at all. Hey, listen, excuse me, I'm a massive fan of the Scots, as any of my Scots family members will tell you. Any culture that's based on fighting, screwing, and drinking, I'm right up there with you. I love the Scots. I love the Scots. We've got a couple of people, including Jesse, a good friend of ours, and also Janine, saying, still waiting for Hannibal to start. They are just sat on their hands at this point and rocking backwards and forwards. That's something that everyone's looking forward to. See what other things that people have been talking about. Yeah, this is something that got announced this week. See if we can have a bit of a guess. Robert Downey Jr. announced that this week, in 8 weeks' time, Marvel. Oh, hang on a second. That's all right. Robert Downey Jr. announced this week that in 8 weeks' time, Marvel are going to announce something big.
Yep.
Any ideas or rumors of what that could be? Well, I'll open that up to everyone else on the Q&A and you guys first. Have you heard about this?
I did hear that he was speculating in 8 weeks we're going to hear something. As to what it is, no idea. I feel like it might be some sort of casting news, maybe? Because they did announce all the movies that they're putting out for the next few years. So, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe announcing the lead, and I would hope Captain Marvel, because I really want to know who's going to do that. And I think that would be a big enough announcement.
I hadn't thought of that. You're absolutely right.
It's their first female-led superhero movie, and I think they're going to make a big deal about that announcement. So, you know, that would be about time to start picking your lead, right? Coming out.
Sure. No, that makes sense. I mean, the other 2 rumors that were doing the rounds were that we would be possibly hearing of the first news of the Spider-Man crossover from Sony. So there was that rumor. But then there's another rumor that did the rounds, and I could say I'm excited about this one, that possibly that Robert Downey Jr. would be directing a Marvel film.
Ooh.
That would be interesting.
That would be cool. Because I think, would that be his first directorial, or did he direct The Judge? I can't remember.
That's a good question.
It's a good. I can't remember if he directed The Judge. I know that he was involved in the production. I know it was part.
Right.
Of I can't remember if he directed it as well. But yeah, I think we've. When we think that it's far enough out that we've got pretty much enough time to work with the stories we've got to hand, next thing you know, we're getting more and more stuff gets rolled out so far in advance. So yeah, 8 weeks time. I'm trying to work out when that would actually pan out to. Well, that'd be 10 weeks before Comic-Con. So I'm trying to work out. I mean, then again, what they want to save for Comic-Con at this point. So.
He did not direct the judge, by the way.
Okay.
Sorry. That's when I pull out the phone and pull up the IMDb and just double check.
That's fine. We did not. We're not going to lay the blame of the judge on Robert Downey Jr. I've seen it, and
was it that bad?
It was average.
Okay.
It's one of those films where you watch it and went, well, I've watched that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But you didn't walk out going, I want that time in my life back.
No. Well, it had a great cast, so
right.
I was happy to spend time in their company, but it was done when it was done. Okay, we've got good question, and from a cosplayer, this would be an interesting question. This is from Janine. Wonder if we will see plenty of Mr. Spock cosplayers this year in memory of Leonard Nimoy. That would be a very fitting tribute. To have someone live beyond
right.
their life in celebration of the roles that they've played. I actually made a comment on Twitter that while I fully loved Dr. Leonard Nimoy as Mr. Spock in Star Trek back in the day, I actually spent this weekend watching a number of Fringe episodes. I'm a William Bell fan. So no, it's a good question. That do you have any ideas what you guys are going to be cosplaying as this year?
I don't think we have anything on the docket. I mean, Kate's working some things. She's the seamstress here, so she's got that all together. I don't think we're doing anything. I'm not sure how much she's going to be at Philly because she's working, but for New York, I believe she's working on a couple things. And I think for Philly this year, I'm going to be doing my Wonder Woman again just because I love her so much.
Well, this is the year to do it. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else we've got commenting on the Q&A. Back to the hotels. We stayed at the Wyndham, which is a mile away, and was first stop on the shuttle, but took almost 45 minutes to get to the con, but 5 minutes to get from the con to the hotel. Yes, I appreciate that the bus service does get a little bit clogged up once you start hitting downtown, but that is purely throughout the hours of the con during the day. So. Okay. Also recommending that another service for condo shares is VRBO, .com.
I've heard about them too, and I've heard good things about them. I think their fees are a little less than AirNib, VMT. I'm not sure, but anything that provides that security and has a good track record, I can't see how you go wrong with it, as long as you read the reviews for the individual people, like you guys were saying earlier. I did want to point out about the hotel sale at San Diego is that the weekend after the 24th, which is when we think the sale will be, is Emerald City Comic-Con. So a number of people are going to be there. So right in the prime time when hotel swapping is going on, I've got a number of my very active forum members gone to con. So I'm like, oh, a week? Really? And then I'm leaving the following week to go to WonderCon. So it seems like the season heats up pretty quickly right after the hotel sale. So get prepared.
Yeah.
Are you guys coming, Eileen, are you guys coming to, any thoughts about coming to San Diego at any point?
We do want to do it in the future. We just haven't been able to figure it out time and money-wise yet. But we actually do what we like to call SDCC from NYCC. And what we'll do is we will, during the whole San Diego Con, we are tweeting live the panels that are going on. We are putting up links to all the panels for like Nerd HQ and commentary and that kind of stuff. So if you are stuck on the East Coast with us, you can still kind of like chat and talk and discuss what's going on.
If you want at any point, contact me. Hit me up on the forum about if you guys decide you want to go in 16. and you try and get to it early.
We will get there eventually.
Yes. Well, I mean, just like all San Diego people should go to New York Con,
Right.
all New York Con people should go to San Diego because they're in the same class.
Right.
Of
Absolutely,
cons.
I totally agree with that. I mean, we were talking before we went on air that they were very proud of the fact that New York Comic Con was now selling more tickets than San Diego.
And we're put in our place.
No. Okay. Yes, we are going to hopefully have a conversation with Brian from ReadPop again at some point between now and New York Comic Con. We would love to get him back on, and he is interested in doing that. It's just trying to arrange times that we can do that. So yes, we will try and get Brian on the Hangouts.
I just was, if I can, just jump in here. I think that both cons are at their building's capacity, and both cons could grow to whatever building they were in. So if you say, "Oh, my con's bigger than your con," well, your building's bigger than my building. And we know where.
For the record, Kate said that, not me.
I mean, we could go on about men and comparing things, but we won't. When the first line to hit, just quiet.
But there was actually for the first time this year, New York Comic Con had a queue to get your tickets, which they didn't announce that they were doing that, and it led to some panic on our part because I'm working when the tickets go on sale, so normally in between appointments I'll just like hop on, buy my tickets, and that will be it. And this year there was a queue, so you have me frantically texting between Kate and our other friend Les and being like, okay, who's in? Who can get my ticket? Because I can't sit here. I have to go do another thing. I was like, I have another appointment. I can't be here. And it was interesting because New York has never done that before. It's always been you sign on, you set up, you buy it like you would buy any other concert ticket. So it was a little bit of a shock for us.
Well, I'd still like to go to New York Comic Con, so I'm going to be keeping my eyes open as well. So. Yeah, it's certainly. I mean, it's like Alyssa says. It's now gotten to the point where it is such an equal draw, if anything, to San Diego. And I think when you're talking about clashing with other events for hotels and the other sales and bits and pieces that happen, I think that's just because con culture now is just so big. There is a con happening every weekend. It's going to clash somewhere down the line. Speaking of sales, we have had a question from Taylor Productions. Hello for watching. Thank you very much indeed. From Sacramento, California. Any news on when Ace parking sale will happen? Some rolling of eyes there from Alyssa. Now, I do know that Megan, who was going to be joining us on the Hangout today, has spotted a tweet from Ace Parking. That is apparently going to happen sometime in March.
What the tweet said was hope to update you in mid-March.
Oh, okay.
Just to be specific here.
Okay, that's fine.
Historically, I think the sale has happened in April when I am in Japan.
Oh.
I'm, going to be up at 3 a.m.
Okay, so what you need to do is pay attention to Friends of CCI on the Twitter. Find out when Alyssa is going to be away from her computer. That's when the Ace parking sale is going to happen. Okay.
And you'll hear the scream.
Find out what her vacation plans are. That's when the sale is going to take place.
Sorry.
No, it's true.
No, it's probably true.
Yeah. So here's just to change the topic here. So it looks like it's going to be an expensive week for me at my local comic book store next Wednesday. I don't know if you've thought about anything, Ellen. You said you're there every Wednesday.
I am there every Wednesday. I actually have downloaded an app for my phone to keep track of all the comics I'm buying. It's gotten that bad, and I will call. I have one of my best friends who also does his comic book trip on Wednesdays, and we will call each other at the comic book shop and discuss what we're picking up.
Yes, which variant, which variants,
what's coming out, which variant. Did you pick this up yet? I didn't get it yet. Is it worth it?
What do you think about Nameless or the new Hawkeye? You have a great series, and now you're putting out another Hawkeye. That was the one that got me when I was looking at the list there, going, really?
Yeah.
I like, but nice. Anyway, so just warning people.
I'm dipping my toe back into comic book buying again because if I do it, and I know that if I do it wrong, I'll just end up spending all of my budget for Comic-Con before I've even gotten on planes. So
Yeah.
I'm taking it very steady and very slowly. No, there's. I think Alyssa's actually put a post. Let's see. It seems it might be an expensive week. Do check that out at the top of the Q&A. See what he's having a look at. Very quickly, then let's go through. Before we wrap things up, Leonard, I was wondering what the probability is of Star Wars being at Comic-Con this year. I would really like to shut my friend's face up about it because he's going to SDCC for the first time. Yeah, this is where we can just stick our head in our hands and just, yeah. The only thing that we've heard is that JJ wants to bring Star Wars to Comic-Con, and that's all he's heard. The only thing is, it's down to his his Disney Paymasters.
Mm-hmm.
Just watch this space. That's all you can say. That's all you can cover. Janine, Funko will be at NYCC, which will be a first for them. We are going. I keep saying it each and every episode. I do apologise. We will try and get Funko on as soon as we possibly can. Likewise with our other guests, we will try and get Kelly Sue DeConnick on as soon as we possibly can. And Babs Tarr, as soon as she's off her holiday, she's very excited about joining us. She hopefully will be coming. If you spotted that, by the way, the WonderCon cover that she's done for the
Fabulous.
WonderCon, it's Batgirl, it's glorious. Do check it out. It's on the comic-con.org website. It's gorgeous. Also, do go to thoughtbubblefestival.com to see her Hawaiian-themed cover that she's done for the Thought Bubble Festival that's happening in November in Yorkshire here in the UK. That's right, in Leeds, in Yorkshire, in November, she's done a Hawaiian theme. If anyone shows up in Yorkshire during November wearing Hawaiian clothes, we are not going to say what your state of mind is going to be like once you've frozen to death. Okay, so best of luck to you if you try that. But do check out those covers. We will try and get Babs Tarr on as soon as we possibly can. Very quickly, let's have a look at anything else. I think we've pretty much covered most of what's been said. Thank you very much indeed for jumping in on the Q&A, everybody. We'll do all this again next week. And, yeah, do jump in on the Q&As because we like it when you interact. It's great. Right, I think that's pretty much us under the wire. Nearly an hour and a bit, so I think we can safely wrap things up. If you are going to go onto the early bird sales, do let us know using the hashtag CupOTSDCC how you're going, how rooms are selling out, how things are progressing, and we'll do our best to, between the lot of us, let everyone know how those rooms are still being available for the early bird hotel sale. Right, like to thank once again my guests, Alyssa. As always, you can find her on the forum. What can you imagine is going to be the big topics this week? Just going to be television, isn't it?
Yeah. Television will be of interest. We're going to be opening up the. We're going to be posting the how-to for the upcoming hotel sale shortly, today or tomorrow. Jopari is putting that together. I hope we may get some how-tos for the spreadsheet that we're going to be doing this week too. I may open up the hotel, that whole secondary hotel area up also. So we're jumping in full force with regards to that.
So you can join us next week and see a very fried and a very frazzled Alyssa on the Hangout. She's going to be a busy. You're going to be a busy bunny.
I will say that WonderCon tickets Saturday are close, or if not sold out, are very close to being sold out. So that show is April, in the first part of April. So spring cons are starting to sell. And if you're going to go to a spring con, buy your tickets now.
Yeah.
And you can find me on friendsofcci.com/forum. Thank you.
Not a problem at all. And I'd like to thank debut appearance on the Hangout. Eileen, thank you very much indeed for joining us all the way to the end.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
I'm glad that you've stuck it out. Other than that fly-by-night that joined us earlier. that lightweight that had to duck out. Good grief.
She just couldn't handle the pressure.
It's terrible, isn't it? Where can people find you and Kate online?
You can find us at itsallgeektomeradio.com. That's the blog, which will link you up to our podcast. We're also on Twitter, allgeek2, the number 2, me radio. And this week's podcast, we're going to be talking all Agent Carter.
I would highly recommend this podcast. I am a massive fan. The last episode on The Walking Dead was a great listen. I would heartily recommend checking them out. So there we go. Excellent. And once again, thanks to Kate as well, if you could pass on our regards as well.
Will do.
Brilliant. And yes, you can find me on Twitter at Englishman SDCC. You can find me on Google Plus at google.com/+symbol and Englishman in San Diego. And of course, you can check us out on the website anenglishmaninsandiego.com. Do join us next Sunday. Hopefully, we will have a couple of guests. I'm trying to get some guys from London Super Comic-Con, which is in 2 weeks' time. Hopefully, we'll get a couple of... although I have been told that they are a little bit camera shy. So hopefully we'll try and convince at least one of them to join us. That would be cool. Just to talk about their plans for what is essentially the biggest comics-led convention that happens here in the UK. That's happening in 2 weeks' time. In 2 weeks' time, it will be a special hangout as I will be broadcasting from London. So that should be interesting. That should be cool. I've also just got one last thing to say, and this is a comment from Gary Quigley on the Q&A, who is a Scotsman, and he has said that everything I have said about Scotsmen is absolutely true. So I am completely covered. I am fine by that. Thank you very much indeed for your company. Hopefully we'll see you next Sunday for another cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. Take care, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.